All right, good morning. Welcome to the world famous Prospect Avenue podcast. I am your host, Kris Baker, here in the bunker in lovely Hamburg, New York. That's right, I said good morning. It's an early morning edition of the podcast this week, and I'm sure it's going to go incredibly well since I'm just sipping my first cup of coffee and it hasn't fully cycled through my body yet. So the brain's not fully firing this morning, but thankfully hockey is always on my mind. And it's early October. Seasons are in full swing, like I mentioned on the previous episodes of this podcast. And we have 2 games left in the Sabres preseason. Competition's really heated up, or has it? Because really, we came into this camp thinking maybe a player like Yuri Kulik was going to take that next step and really play hungry and grab a roster spot, or Isak Rosén was going to come in. And he has, by the way. He looks bigger, he looks quicker, but really take the bull by the horns and make an impression to potentially win a roster spot. Or, even Lucas Rusek and Brandon Byro, 2 players that had really good seasons last year in Rochester. Rusek comes up, scores a goal in his first NHL game before getting sent back down. Byro at age 25 has really built a really nice AHL resume since he turned pro coming out of Penn State a few years ago. But those players, while they've done some good things, the one guy that just stands out, obviously, is Zach Benson. And I think it's hard to do a prospect podcast and not at least spend a couple minutes talking about what Benson's done, because this is a player that has exceeded expectations. We knew he was good. We didn't know he was this good. I mean, in 4 games this preseason for the Sabres, he has 2 goals and 2 assists, including 1 game winner over the weekend against Columbus. Benson was a factor in helping the team overcome a slow start, helping that line with Tage Thompson and Jeff Skinner overcome a slow start. And I think it's important to point out, how they've deployed him, and they're giving clues about what they think about this player and his potential to maybe stick around and play NHL games and maybe even be in the opening night roster, because he's his ability to play up top and use his competitiveness and his intelligence all over the ice to overcome the lack of size and experience. That's why I'm saying it's exceeded expectations. Like I said, we knew he was good. We didn't know he was this good. And they've put him in different situations than he's been used to playing. Just look at the power play. In the Western League, Benson plays out on the wall, and he does a really good job out there accepting passes and going to the net and doing all the things that it takes to score goals and set up teammates around the net at that level. But, those roles are filled in the NHL, and they come out, they roll out PP1, and they put Benson right in the middle of the ice in that bumper. And he's doing incredibly well there. Has he been perfect? No. Has he been really good? Absolutely. And I think having Benson and that ability to play up the lineup, it's really helping the Sabres balance out their forward lines, especially in light of the Jack Quinn injury. And he's going to be out for, 2.5, 3 months to start the season. We'll be lucky if we see Jack Quinn back at the holidays. And, Benson coming in has been incredibly surprising. Can the situation change with 2 games left? Yes. Was I expecting Benson to do well in camp and maybe stick around for a couple NHL games? I was. I thought that, he had the game in him, and I thought that they would extend that sending back of Benson to the Western League by a week or so, just to get him some NHL reps and with live bullets. The NHL regular season is different than preseason. The intensity ratchets up. Just everything changes a little bit. But, Benson looks like he's going to really make this decision harder, even beyond that first week or 2 of the regular season. So really, really interesting development, what's happening in Saberland with Zach Benson, and what he's been, the flexibility that he provides to Don Granato and the staff for moving some pieces around their forward lines, like an Alex Tuck, and he can play down with Middlestat, for example, or what they're going to do, still kind of fill in that role with Cousins and Peterka. But needless to say, it's been incredibly fun to watch Benson. And I'm really eager to see what becomes of him in these next 2 preseason games and beyond. All right, so let's get into the rest of the prospects here. It's been a full workload the past couple of weeks. We're going to go around the rinks We're going to go to Sweden. We're going to go to Russia. We're going to come back to North America and touch base on the players that were recently sent back from the Sabres training camp to their junior clubs. But I'd be remiss if we didn't mention that, it's been a full workload, and that workload's going to get a little more full this weekend with the college hockey regular season schedule kicking off on Saturday. On Saturday, that will include 3 freshmen getting their skates wet. With Gavin McCarthy and top-ranked Boston University will be in action against Bentley, Michigan State, and Max Sturbach, that freshman blue liner. He'll make his NCAA debut when the Spartans face Lake Superior State in a weekend set. Also this weekend, UConn and Jake Richard, they'll play a weekend set beginning Saturday against Colgate. They will visit lovely Hamilton, New York, the country club at Colgate University, for a pair of weekend games. There's also a few exhibition tilts on the schedule, with Steven Sardarian and the University of New Hampshire taking on Maine. And also Matteo Costantini will make his Western Michigan Broncos debut in an exhibition tilt against the U.S. under-18 team. And then on Sunday, Aaron Huglin and the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers will get their exhibition schedule started against Bemidji. So the action is going to heat up. This is going to be pretty much, I think, the last remaining prospects to take the ice. They will do so this weekend, and my life will be over until May. So that's exciting. At any rate, going to get some golf, hopefully, in today. I don't know if I could sneak out or not, but got to get this podcast done so I can start my day. And let's go out to Sweden, where Anton Wahlberg has really been standing out lately. Over the weekend, big game for Wahlberg with a goal and an assist and an overtime loss to Modo. His week actually started on Thursday with a nice assist around the net. And wanted to bring up a highlight package here just to kind of show you some of the plays that Wahlberg has been able to make to get on the score sheet. And here it is here, Wahlberg 24. Let me just pause it real quick here and bring this back. So this is a pretty fast developing play. Wahlberg's going to come down the ice here. This is in early in the second period against Airbro. And Wahlberg's going to come down the center lane, glide past the left post, and his teammate's going to come in and go to the ice, and the puck is going to be right there for Wahlberg to make a play. And he quickly identifies a teammate coming down the center lane, just streaking. He hits him with a perfect pass for a goal. So Wahlberg's 24 in white, glides past the left post. Player trips over the post. And look at that. Wahlberg just quick to identify, makes a nice feed. Tape to tape pass. And Malmo fills the back of the net there. So again, real quick play, nice play around the net. Now here's a goal. This is the goal that Wahlberg scored on Sunday. And I tweeted that this is exactly the type of goal that you want to see scored. So his teammate gets checked to the ice. Wahlberg comes in and scoops up the puck, skates it into space, kicks it high. And then look what Wahlberg does. Circles down, right down the center lane, uses his big body to get in position, stick down on the ice, in position to bury a rebound. Really nice goal. But there was a whole play from start to finish if you look at what Wahlberg does. So here, we're going to catch it on a couple angles of the replay because I really like this play from him. The support that he brings to win the puck in the corner once his teammate gets knocked to the ice. So you're going to see here 24, he's there supporting, kicks it high, and then look what he does. Gets in front of his man, carves back inside, stick down, buries a rebound, and that's a nice play. What I like about Wahlberg here is that in previous episodes of this podcast, we talked about him being a player that has been a second line fixture, and that's been happening here. He has back-to-back 18-minute plus efforts for the Red Hawks. He's now eclipsed that threshold in 3 of his last 6 games, and a goal and 3 assists to date, right up there amongst the team leaders in points. So he's getting the minutes. He's helping Malmo. I mean, through 6 games, they're in playoff position, which is kind of exceeding expectations considering they were at the bottom of the odds board coming into the season in terms of teams favored to win the SHL this year. And, in my estimation, Wahlberg is doing, everything in his power to, just position himself really well amongst Sweden's World Junior hopefuls. We saw him play over the summer at the World Junior Summer Showcase. Started off well, but there's a lot of competition there, a lot of bodies, a lot of older players. Wahlberg, as a big body, looks to be getting into an early season groove at a highest level of competition you can play at in the country of Sweden. And so he's off to a good start. And he's just really standing out with his play, moving in a really good direction. So that's a nice report to deliver to Sabres fans. If we stay in Sweden, with Wahlberg being considered a World Junior hopeful, Noah Ostlund is more of a surefire lock to center Sweden's top line this winter. I thought Ostlund was another player that really stood out this past week. Looks really strong as he continues to adjust to the pace and the structure of the SHL game. He had talked about more structure in the SHL compared to Hockey Allsvenskan, where he played last year with Djurgården. But he also mentioned how it's easier to play in that structured environment because you always know where your teammates are going to be. And that's kind of an adage that you hear a lot about when players move up from the AHL to the NHL and so on. So nice to see kind of Ostlund put that together and thrive in that environment. Continues to perform really well out there, just 6 games into his season. A goal and an assist so far. Statistically, I think he's doing good things and he's going to start picking up more points. He's averaging over 18 minutes of ice per game at 18:02. But what was really cool was it was nice to see him have a good game and really stand out Thursday against Frölunda. In that win over Frölunda, Ostlund was able to connect with some familiar faces as his former teammates from Djurgården were in the crowd. I don't know if Ostlund had a hand in securing tickets, but Djurgården was in southern Sweden on a road trip, and they had a break in the action between games, and they had 20 tickets that they were able to get and come out and see Ostlund. And it was probably really nice for him to see some old faces, and it was really good, I think, for them to see him stand out in that game. He played very well in that win. So again, a goal and an assist thus far. 18:02 is a good number, for a guy that's been, I would say, their number 2 centerman in terms of ice time this year for Växjö. So really, really, really good start for Ostlund. Want to see more points come, and I'm sure they will because he's getting himself in position to score. Just needs to bury more and find more teammates for points. Last thing here in Sweden, just wanted to call out, it's kind of, file under funny stats, but I think it's a mistake. For those that have been looking at time on ice out on the internet, you might see that Karlskoga right-handed defenseman Albert Lassen was credited with logging 38 minutes and 58 seconds last week in a 4-2 loss to Almtuna. I haven't watched the full game yet. I kind of cut through it, and I don't see Lassen logging that much ice time in that game. So let's consider that an error where they probably double counted Lassen and his partner's ice time. I just thought it was funny. 38-58, that's a lot of ice in a non-overtime game. And I'm going to assume right now that was a mistake without fully going through the game tape. But for those that are looking at his average time on ice, it's going to bring what you see on the website down considerably once that's adjusted. All right, let's move over to Russia. Last episode of this podcast, we talked about Prokhor Poltapov was dispatched down to Zvezda in the Supreme League for a 3-game stint coming off an injury. He has since returned to the lineup with CSKA, and he's right back to making an impact on virtually every shift. So Poltapov has scored in 2 of his 3 games back with CSKA. He has goals in back-to-back games for the second time in his career. And I want to show you those goals that he scored thus far. So we'll bring those up. So Poltapov returned to work last week, and in the first game didn't get on the score sheet, but was able to get on with a nice 5-hole finish in CSKA's 7-1 win over Sochi. And that's what we're looking at here on the screen. He's on the left side of the screen here, right down, gets immediately behind the D, goes down, takes the pass, goes down the ice, clear breakaway, waits for the pads to open up, The goalie you'll see here on this one angle, he closes his pads and flashes them back open, and Poltapov fits the puck underneath the goaltender. Really nice finish. You see a lot of guys go high on a lot of those shots. He goes patiently low. So comes in, breaks in on his forehand. Nice finish with authority through the goalie's wickets. Accepts the pass going backwards. Nice pivot forward. Really nice breakaway speed. And a goal scorer's finish right there from Poltapov. So that was the first goal that he scored, and that was his second of the season. And then he's going to come back in Monday's game, a 9-1 win over Vitesse, and score another goal here. So the play shot wide from Vitesse, puck caroms around the zone, and it's going to hit Poltapov here on the right wing. Takes what's given to him, goes right to the middle of the ice, and squeezes a shot through the goaltender. Looks like it went off his glove. So he kind of cuts back in, coming in the right wing, takes what was given to him. The defensemen were backing off, gets to the middle of the ice, and kind of fires back a little bit against the grain. And it looked like it may have gone like over the glove, off the glove. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like it went over the goalie's glove. But either way, that's Poltapov's third goal in just 6 games this year. And despite missing 7 of CSKA's 13 games this season, Poltapov ranks 4th on the team in goals. Team leader has 5. There's 2 other CSKA forwards that have 4 goals, and then you have Poltapov with 3. Now, those players that have 5 and 4 ahead of him, they played in all 13 games. So, this is a player who's making the most of his minutes early in the season. And we talked about Poltapov in the European preview as a guy who has the game to move up in the lineup. And that was the mission for him this year, was, start low and work his way up into a bigger role on the team. And he keeps producing early in the season, and he will go for goals in 3 straight games for the first time in his career when CSKA gets back to work Wednesday against Barry's Astana. So really nice start for Prokhor Poltapov. He had 1 goal in the 3-game stint down with Zvezda, 3 goals in 6 games thus far with CSKA. I think that's enough for Europe here this week. Viljami Mariala had some down games. There's going to be peaks and valleys in his Liga season. Not much to report on there. But it's kind of funny, though, actually, when you look at Mariala in one of the intermissions and one of the games that he played, I think it was Saturday's game, they ISO'd him and focused on him and just called him out as a player who is building a really good game. And, they talked about the highs and the lows. If my Finnish language understanding is right, it sounded like they were lauding him for being a skilled player, and he's going to go through learning experiences from time to time. And I think that's what happened here in the last 2 games. Not poor efforts by any means, but guys are starting to notice him more on the ice, and they're defending him and bearing down on him. And that's going to force Mariala to find different ways to make plays. And he has the skill and the skating game to do it. So more to come on that. We're going to head back now to North America and briefly talk about a couple of the players that began their junior seasons in the past week. And I think a prudent place to start is with Kingston Frontenac's winger, Ethan Miedema. He's gotten off to a hot start with Kingston with 3 goals and 3 assists for his first 3 games to rank second among OHL point getters after the first week of league play. And Miedema got things going Wednesday with a really nice individual effort. And you're going to see it here. Number 15 in black takes the puck at center ice, goes around to the defender, starts galloping, and really generates a lot of power with that skating stride in a 6'4", 200-pound frame. Love the hustle on that goal. Love the individual effort. And we're going to see a replay of it again here. He's going to take the puck at center ice and just get himself some space around the defender, get on his horse and go in for the finish. So here's the replay again. Works it, legs cranking, defender on him. Can't really do much once Miedema gets that step, and it's smooth sailing there for his first goal of the season. Let's fast forward this here to his second goal. This is going to be on the power play. Miedema, 15 in black, setting up on the right side. He's just going to have some cleanup work here to do at the right side of the net. Puck goes low, and the rebound just kind of bounces over to Miedema. He's right there on the spot for the finish. That was a 2-goal game. Good start here for Miedema. Now, keep in mind, they're going to need a lot of production out of Miedema this year in Kingston. They're starting the year 1-2. Miedema's playing in kind of a middle line role right now, getting number 1 power play units. They're going balanced. Is he one of their top forwards? Of course he is, with the NHL draft pedigree and just the size, and he can be physically dominant at the OHL level. You want to see it consistently from him this year, and he seems really motivated to do so. This was Sunday's game. Kingston was playing Oshawa. You're going to see another breakaway goal here. So Miedema came out, went for the shot block attempt high in the zone, and then just kept going. And the puck is fed to him on a bounce pass as he was breaking out of the zone. Goes in and scores a very similar goal to the first goal from Poltapov that we showed there. So again, we're going to see the replay. Miedema 15 in black. Defends the point shot, and it goes past him, but he continues his momentum out of the zone. Kingston scarfs up the puck. Nice board pass to Spring. Miedema for the breakaway, and he goes in there for the low short side finish. We'll get one more look at it here. Again, good breakaway speed, good power forward mentality. Miedema was a player at the Prospects Challenge who I talked about liking just the simple game that he played. I thought he exceeded expectations versus baseline. Wasn't overly nervous, kept his game in straight lines, tried to power through guys and didn't try to dance around them. And you kind of see that mentality there again, just even on that first goal, kept his game in straight lines, found some space to operate, goes down and efficiently buries pucks. So really, really, really nice start for Ethan Miedema. Needs to keep it going. I think his highest point streak last year was 5 games in Kingston. So he's off to a good start with points in all 3 to begin the season. And Kingston will be back in action Friday against Sudbury. And we'll see what Miedema does there. I will be very curious to bring you highlight packages of this big power forward player throughout the year. All right, Mattlingren was another player that was dispatched back to his junior club last week by the Sabres. Lindgren goes back, and in Friday's game, his first game, earns the 3rd star in his return to Red Deer in a 4-2 home ice loss to Medicine Hat. Lindgren got on the board with a power play goal in this game on one of his 4 shots on goal on the night. We'll bring that up here in a second because this was kind of vintage Mats Lindgren. High between the circles scoring. Lindgren right here, 27, takes it high between the circles, gets a quick wrister off glove side for his first goal this season. Lindgren makes his money on the power play. 8 of his 11 goals last season came with the man advantage. He was a guy, he thrives in the middle of the ice. We talked about Zach Benson moving there this year with the Sabres in preseason and doing well. That's where Mats Lindgren as a defenseman really makes his money. He played a lot last year in that bumper position. Was no surprise again to see him get to the middle of the ice here to get a quality shot on net through traffic and bury the goal. I think for Lindgren, he's a player that has the skating and the agility, much like Ryan Johnson does. I think, that's kind of what you want to see Lindgren maybe develop into, is like a Ryan Johnson type of defender that's never going to be overly physical, but can defend well and uses his feet to stay in plays. That's the biggest developmental thing I'm looking for from Mats Lindgren this year is his improved play in the defensive zone. We know he can carry the puck. We know he can run the power play, walk the line, keep the zone, create motion in the offensive zone, both at 5-on-5 and of course on the PP. But for me, the biggest factor for him turning pro potentially next year in the AHL and really being a bona fide NHL prospect is going to be his ability to continue to improve defensively. We saw it in spurts, I thought, at the Prospects Challenge. He just needs to continue playing simple defensive hockey, gap control, angling the play off wide, sticking with his checks, don't allowing them to get behind him and get to the net. And if he does that consistently this season, and even if the points don't come in crazy amounts, I would consider that a successful season for Mats Lindgren. So again, balanced 2-way effort is what you want to see. And the Rebels, he'll continue his development Friday. Red Deer will be in action Friday and Saturday with home games against Prince Albert and Lethbridge. Last highlight that I wanted to pull up is just another, a goal scoring play. It's going to involve Norwin Panoka, the defenseman who's beginning his North American career with Chicoutimi of the QMJHL. Panoka played Friday in his first game back, -4, no shots on goal, but he rebounded with a better effort with 2 assists in an 8-3 win over defending Memorial Cup champion Quebec. Panoka's first helper was a D-to-D pass where he just cleaned up a play in his own zone, got it over to his defensive partner who sprung the transition game. The play quickly advanced down the ice for a goal. His second one here that we're going to dial up was a primary assist on a power play shot on goal. And again, a simple play, but it was nice to get 26 in the dark jersey on the score sheet here with a primary helper. So again, this is on the power play, diagonal pass to the top. Similar, not exact position to where Mattlingren scored his goal from for Red Deer, but Panoka with a high shot, not handled well by Quebec's goaltender. Puck drops right in front of him and player right there on the spot to quickly bury it. So Panoka getting on the board with his first 2 points of the season, again, in an 8-3 win. And he's a player that I think is going to get a lot of opportunity to put up points this year. But again, that big frame, long stick, you want to see him get stronger, more explosive, limit turnovers, just play a steady game. And I like what I've seen. I watched a good period and a half of that game on Sunday, and I thought that he looked really poised with the puck and in control. And I look forward to breaking down future games of his and, isolating him in the defensive zone to really provide a clear picture of who he is as a player in his first North American season. We're going to just wrap up real quick here with a couple other notes around the rinks. Over in the Czech Extra League, I've been keeping an eye on Sabres prospect Jakub Konechny. He's started the year on a really good team with Sparta Prague, skating primarily on their fourth forward unit. No points thus far for Konechny. He's been averaging a shot on goal per game in that fourth line role. And, he's not really buried. He's getting some decent minutes, averaging a little over 12 minutes a game. On Friday, with Sparta Prague nursing a 4-0 lead late in the game, Konechny racked up 10:43 time on ice in that game. And it was a win. I think it was Olomouc. It was, yeah, that they were out there protecting the shutout. And he was getting a lot of shifts late in the game. And on his last shift, I think it was about 4 minutes left, he had a turnover in the defensive zone that led to a scoring opportunity. And it wasn't like a horrible turnover. He maybe overhandled the puck and could have just sent the puck off the boards and out of the zone, but misplayed the puck on the right side. And an opposition forward grabs it, comes in for a backhand scoring opportunity. And it was a nice save, but you notice his goaltender talking to him after when he made that save. And you can see there were some words exchanged, not heated by any means, but the goaltender was clearly telling him, hey, man, that was not a good play. You got to get that puck off your stick quicker. And that goaltender even said so in the press. He was asked about that specific play after the game. Said, hey, Konechny, looked like he misplayed a puck there, led to a scoring opportunity late. What did you say to him? He said, don't ever do that again. But I thought it was interesting that they kept Konechny out of the lineup over the weekend in the game that followed that 4-0 win. And I don't know if it was because of that play. I don't know if he was sick. I don't want to, necessarily say he wasn't in the lineup because of that play. Because again, I didn't think it was that egregious of a turnover. And I certainly don't believe he was injured because he was out there getting shifts, like I said, late in the game. But needless to say, kind of interesting that he did make an appearance, and we will be looking for him when Sparta Prague is back in action Tuesday against Vítkovice, because, those are the types of plays that Konechny made last year that saw him go in and out of the lineup and even go down to Sokolov in the second division in spurts last season. So, the hope was that he would eliminate those plays, keep himself in the lineup from start to finish this year with Sparta Prague. So early in the season, again, I don't believe he was sick or injured. We're gonna consider that maybe a benching, but more to come on that. Other than that, I think the last note, Scott Ratzlaff got off to a pretty rough start for Seattle in his first game back. 23 shots faced, allowed 6. I believe he got pulled. Let me bring that up real quick because I haven't gone through that tape either. That's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of games on the weekend. Impossible to get through all of them quickly. But yeah, Retzlaff played 40 minutes, 17 saves in a loss, a home ice loss to the Portland Winterhawks. That was a 6-1 loss. So obviously that's not the start that Scott Retzlaff wanted. We'll be looking for him to right the ship this week when he returns to action. Again, he's a big part to their lineup. He's expected to carry a significant load this year. And you were hoping that, he would have taken that first NHL training camp experience back and got off to a quicker start. But needless to say, one game doesn't make the man. It certainly doesn't make Scott Retzlaff. He was one of the, just really promising young goaltending prospects in all of junior hockey last year. So we're sure he'll rebound in a good way moving forward. But I think that's it. Again, we kept it under 30 minutes, I want to say, this week. No, that's a lie. We're already over 30 minutes. Oh, well. Hey, be on the lookout for some post-game wraps all season long, both with the last 2 preseason games. If I can be joined by the Athletics' Matthew Fairburn, even better. The plan is to kind of pull Matthew in as much as possible this season for those post-game wraps. But I always like his perspective, so it's always fun to talk pucks with him, for 20, 30 minutes, whatever it takes after the game. And be on the lookout for those as we go live. Probably not every game, but we're going to try to do it as often as possible. Just like I'm trying to do an episode of Prospect Avenue once a week. That's it. Thanks for hanging in there with me in this early morning edition. There's a cuss word on my mug, so I got to be careful. But cheers to you, and we'll see you next time.